empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
All the ladies, if you feel me, help me sing it out.
Everything is cool between us, B. I told you that. Be out on the road with my people, just doing what I gotta do. There's nothing going on, this shit be going on. Got to trust me, man.
I can't believe I believed everything we had would last so young and naive.
Happy Thursday. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Little me, myself, and I, as I hit my chair rock. Welcome in. It is my Friday, so I am excited, but I'm equally excited to be here with you. Thank you for clocking in. This is the show where we cover all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. We are going to get into some things tonight. Quite a few, actually, as always. But some of the topics I'm really curious if you guys have feedback about. So let me just, before I run down what we're going to get into tonight, of course, let me tell you how you can tap in. If you want to join the conversation at any point tonight, you can hit us up, 800-920-1580. And make sure you're tapping in on social media, KBLA 1580. Of course, I am at Stiletto Jill everywhere. You can also join the YouTube chat. It is already going, so we like that. Hit us up. Same social media, KBLA 1580. Join the chat. Leave your commentary there. If you haven't already, download the app. Take us with you on the go. Listen to us at your leisure. Leave a message if you like. You can do all of that. So let me give you tonight's rundown because we have so much to get into, right? So we're going to get into Kanye West. He wanted to build a house with no windows and no power. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about changes coming to the Delta Sky Miles program. Are you a loyalty flyer? Do you pay for those membership benefits with your credit card? Well, it's changing. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about a new job listing with USA Today for a Taylor Swift and, separately, a Beyonce reporter. We'll get into the details of the job, how much the job pays, what's required, and why some people are very upset that these jobs are even being offered, right? That's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about Tory Lanez's sentencing today and what he did on his way out the court as his last words, and it involves a reporter. We're also going to get into SZA, and she reveals why she's staying away from social media, and also get into what her new collaboration is. It's pretty interesting. We're going to also talk a little bit about, 50 Cent. 50 just wrapped up the final lap tour. It was in celebration of his classic album. And there's a social media debate that's broken out as to if In the Club was actually a song that was in the club. We're going to have that conversation. We're going to examine it and look at why it's so confusing for some about bygone eras, why they're getting it all mixed up and confused. We are also going to talk about tipping and tipping fatigue. Apparently, everyone in America is suffering from it. There is also a favorite candy that is set to be outlawed in California. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Sexy Red and her new achievement, Bow Wow and what he wishes he could have done with a portion of his life. All of that and more. But before we get into that, of course, we have a couple of conversation starters for you. Well, actually, before we get into that, there's already some comments in the chat. So Tony Yayo wants to know, why does Jonathan Majors always wear that old man hat? Tony, I think that's his style. That is his vibe. You know, he's from the South and he likes to give, I feel, mature, distinguished, or somewhat, you know, an older vintage look of a black man. I don't know. And Jerry Anderson just wants to shout out the Libras in the house, and he's here to keep everything steady, I guess provide that balance that Libras do. So shout out to him with that. So like I said, of course, I have a couple of conversation starters to get us on the way. Listen, did you hear about the power outage at the MGM Resorts Hotel over the week? A cybersecurity attack hit Vegas, and it not only impacted Vegas, it not only impacted MGM hotels, their guest and employee data security breaches were impacted by the leak, but it also was discovered that another hotel group, Caesars Entertainment, were also hacked. So allegedly, this group, according to Vegas Starfish, by the way, this is from Vegas Starfish, Caesars Entertainment Group, which of course contains Caesars Hotel and a bunch of others that are under that umbrella, paid off the group of hackers and didn't tell anyone that they had been hacked. So once everything was divulged on social media, what was happening with the MGM, then it was a conversation. We'll have to see if that actually turns out to be true. But how crazy is that they secretly kept it to themselves, obviously not wanting to alarm their customers that were in there, the hotel guests, etc. But then it turned around, it happened again. How scary is that hackers could take down an entire hotel system, all the security files, the room keys, all of that? I mean, we are in very, very different times. I want to know, if you have any, what your thoughts are about that. We've talked about this a little bit, about your phone kind of picking up on conversations, things of that nature. But when you see something like this happen, what does that do? I don't know. For me, it's kind of shaky. That's why I would never want like the Nest or one of those total computer-based systems to operate my home, because, you know, somebody could get in, lock you out, anything. That's just me. I've watched a lot of movies. When we come forward, we'll get into these trending topics and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Dominique DePrima here. Having a good credit score is one critical step to obtain a loan to buy a home. But did you know that your credit score is just one factor in getting a mortgage loan? Think about this. Lenders also consider your income, your employment history, current monthly debts, the size of the loan, and the amount of your down payment. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives support you in reaching them. Access your personal financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, before we move ahead, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Today is Nas's 50th birthday. So we have to give a shout out to Nas. It is 50 is the golden year, right? So it is his golden year. Obviously, it lines right up with the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So naturally, Nas was born to be in hip hop. You like that? That was cute, right? Anyway, happy birthday to Nas. And also, shout out to Magic and Cookie Johnson. Today is their anniversary. I believe it's 32 years, 30 plus years. So longer than that, 33 maybe, somewhere in there. So happy anniversary to them. Magic put out a really, really cute video of them through the years. Lots of photos of them together and photo shoots and their family. It was really sweet. So, of course, check that out on Instagram if you're into that. Now, if someone offered you a job to know everything, absolutely everything about your favorite artist, including going to shows and all of that, how much would you want to be paid for that? We're going to get into the salary for it, but USA Today, which is a Gannett-owned publication, they have posted 2 official jobs for reporters, okay? One is a Taylor Swift reporter. The other is a Beyonce reporter. Let me read to you the requirements. We are looking for an energetic writer, photographer, and social media pro who can quench an undeniable thirst for all things Taylor Swift or Beyonce, because they're 2 separate listings, with a steady stream of content across multiple platforms, right? See both the facts and the fury. Identify the pop stars, plural, influence, and what expands the fan base, right? You have to be dialed in and locked in. Here's the thing. The job pays up to, right, in between, up to $100,000 a year, right? They want you to get into the fan base and all of that. So, of course, these positions sound mad fun, really, exciting, something that any stan would want to be involved in, especially if they're already into journalism, photography, or social media, right? And shout out, Prester John in the chat says, Taylor Swift. Did I say that? I said Taylor, but I get your joke. Bypass. Doesn't sound about right if you're being paid $100,000 to cover her and the Queen Bee, Beyonce, and know everything about them, but they've received about a lot of backlash for those positions. And it's not anything to do with Swift or Beyonce. It's basically criticizing USA Today's parent company because they feel like they have sacrificed local reporters, local news, and they don't have enough reporters to cover these various areas, and they've cut back 46% of its workforce over the last 3 years, right? And they said at some newspapers, because Gannett owns several, the headcount has fallen by 90%. And their staff base is about 3,400 people. So people feel like to take resources and offer a pay scale of up to $100,000 about a musical and cultural impact. Yeah, that's cool, but what about real journalism is what they're saying, and what about their point? And they do have a kind of a point, though. It's like, I appreciate wanting to cover pop culture things. Obviously, that's what I do here every night, and that's why you guys are tuned in. However, we also cover lifestyle and culture issues, and it's not one at the expense of the other. And we know that there's a lot changing and happening as far as traditional publishing with newspapers and magazines. They're shrinking. There are other ways to get your news information, like here, like KBLA. But they do serve an important value. And it is something to think about that they can pay six-figure salaries for two positions for two pop stars, but can't have enough staff to cover local happenings and crime reports and government and political aspects. So we'll have to see what comes of that. But you know that Taylor Swift train, it's not slowing down anytime soon. So I expect this to be something, in of course her own way, but that we will see Beyonce follow suit with. We know that Taylor Swift has a concert film for the tour she's currently on, the Eras Tour, and pre-sales. The film doesn't come out till October 13th, but pre-sales for the concert film, rather, have reached over $65 million. And that is a figure comprising the three top theater franchises across the country, okay? Three, just from three. It's a month before the release. We're a month out from that. And those ticket sales are already larger than movies like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They only had 60 million. The Batman, 42 million. And prior to the Eras Tour, like, I guess the biggest one, and, you know, this is obviously pandemic pre-sales, is Spider-Man No Way Home. That was an absolute phenomenon because that did come out in the pandemic and people were happy. That did 120 million, but that was still opening day, right? That wasn't pre-sales. So they are saying that they wouldn't be surprised if it does 100 million before it even hits the theaters. This is on top of whatever she grossed on the tour, right? The expectations are that this movie will outdo past like huge concert movies, some of the bigger ones to date, and the numbers seem crazy when you listen to the numbers that Taylor's already done. Hannah Montana and her Miley Cyrus Best of Both Worlds, this was considered a phenomenon when it came out. 62.8 million, and that was in 2008. Michael Jackson's This Is It did 72 million in 2009, and Justin Bieber's Never Say Never did 73 million. Now, we know we had the Homecoming documentary on Netflix for Beyonce. She also did a Lemonade movie version with also a doc that aired on HBO. I can't see why Beyonce wouldn't put together some Renaissance film. I feel like some of those shows, especially those last ones, the latter ones right before her birthday, when the request was for everyone to wear chrome, I definitely, well, of course there were cameras in the building, we see them, but that there were cameras in the building for some type of concert film documentary. I think that it is the next stage. I think Beyonce could rival those type of numbers that Taylor has, and I'd be excited to go to the Renaissance show again in my house where I could see everything. Can I tell you guys this? And this is random, but I just want to share this with you. I have a beef with floor seats. I know that sounds crazy. I love sitting on the floor. However, maybe you don't really know this about me, and I'm going to share and let you in on a little detail. I'm short. I'm 5 feet tall. So I am fun size. So when I am on the floor, though I like it that I'm that close to the action, I spend so much of my time with neck strain, trying to crack between people and hope that somebody is short in front of me too, so that we can make some type of, you know, negotiation on watching the show for the evening. Andy, I know you got a joke.
Not a joke.
Okay.
But sounds like you're gonna have to come out the pockets just a little bit more,
Yeah.
so you can move up a little bit closer,
Yeah.
so
But
you won't have that issue.
right. I didn't, and here's the thing, you need to be in like the first 10 to 15 rows not to have that issue. And listen, Beyonce was charging small down payments for a home for some of those tickets. And yeah, we're not ready to do that for a concert at this time. Maybe one day, maybe we can put it on the bucket list for somebody, but I don't know. I saw some of those tickets going for her birthday show that were in Club Renaissance, or like the seats right behind it. And again, this is resale, so there's a little sizzle on the price, but people were selling them for like 10,000, 13,000. Who's paying that? I mean, somebody, but really, who is paying that? I don't know. Like, I like it. I love live performance, but the opposite end of that spectrum, which is something I truly appreciate about for Beyonce, and I don't know if other artists do it. I'm sure that they do, but Beyonce had listening seats at SoFi. So basically, they're seats with bad views. They're high up. You can't really see. You can't see the stage. It's obstructed, but there's a screen where you can watch the show. And there were on, I think they said they were like $50 or something like that, and people were in them. So just think about it. You get a piece of Renaissance. You still get to see it. You feel the energy, but you can't really, really see the stage. But you're not, putting out somebody's rent payment or something like that for a concert ticket. I don't know. Is that something that you would think about doing for a show? Is there any artist that you would be like, okay, I'll do that experience?
So, WrestleMania was popping earlier this year. And, I was scrambling for tickets. I ended up, finding some tickets the day of. But, those tickets that had an obstructed view was in abundance. And I was like, man, $50, I'll be up in the building. I get to feel the energy like you were talking about. But I'm sorry, I needed to see the action.
Yeah.
I don't want to be up there and just watch it on the screen or whatnot. If that's the case, I would have stayed at home and watched it.
That's true. That's true. I mean, for some, I guess if you think about it, like if you're a parent and you're taking your child, and of course the child's going to want to take a friend, so that's 3 tickets you got to pay for. I mean, I don't know. We might be up there. That's a lie. But I'm not mad at those that do, because you still get an experience. Maybe that gives you some extra money to buy a t-shirt, because those shirts were hitting for $55. The fans were $35. I'm telling you, the merch alone, I know this was last week, but just rock with me for a second. I just think about the amount of money these tours are making. Nuts, bananas, crazy. Yeah. And Beyonce definitely got a little bit of my money. So, listen, we know that Tory Lanez was convicted. He is going to be serving 10 years in prison. We know that he got married. He's going to have to put in some work to prove that that is a real marriage, and I hope she is willing to stick it out. And if it is a marriage of convenience, that she is prepared to show after the fact, because they're on you. But anyway, that's not what this is about. So allegedly, when Tory was leaving the court after, he was convicted, and he was, of course, trying to appeal his conviction, and the judge said no. There's a reporter. She's been called Megan the Reporter. She obviously reported on the trial the entire time she was in the courtroom. She does a lot of court cases, various ones, some of them in entertainment, other areas. Very good at what she does, but came to prominence with us through this case. We may not have been checking for some of the other cases she was working with, but it was told to her that when Tory was leaving the courtroom, he called her a googly-eyed beep. Why is that your last word as you were leaving the courtroom, Tory? Don't you think that explains a little bit why you are where you are at? Like, why would you leave and do that? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. And, we have had those conversations about, and Fahima from DC, shout out to you if you're listening tonight, called in, and, she not lectured me. I don't want to say that. It was with love. She mentioned that, there's a lot of systematic things that can contribute to people being incarcerated, which there are. But sometimes, as I said, and I think Tori might be an example of someone like this, you need to go sit down and really think about the choices that you are making and how things are unfolding and why they are unfolding like that for you. So, anyway, Megan, the reporter, has a website, and she also has a YouTube channel. If you want to hear more of her commentary, check it out there. So we all know social media is a gift and a curse, right? There are things about it that we love. It has connected us to new people and new places, new ideas. It's brought together like-minded people and things of that nature. But obviously, there's a downside of it. We are going to talk about some things later about it. But, everybody handles it differently. So SZA, I guess, won an MTV award, the VMA, the other night. And so she logged in on her Twitter and shared a message. She said she hadn't logged into social media in over a month, and that she said thank you to her team for supporting her and posting for her. She said she figured she'd post on her own and then log back out to thank MTV for the Moon Man. So she did win one. But she said the real reason why she hasn't been on social media is because she said everyone is annoying about everything, even in the comment section. And she said that's why she no longer posts or logged in or talks to them. She said, you people are weird and exhausting. It's not, if I'm not dropping music, I can't do it. Be safe out there. And you know what? I feel her on that. I do. I really understand, because we put a lot of pressure on people. There's a lot of expectations that come with it. We nitpick at every little thing just because we can, just because we're bored, actually. And it's so habitual now that you just hit the doom scroll to entertain yourself in between. You don't pick up a book or anything. Shout out to Prester John in the chat. He said, oh my God, I looked up Megan Cunniff. That's so wrong. It is wrong. Regardless, you don't do that. She was doing her job. And to jump back for a second, she was doing her job. Tori, had you been doing your job, or at least been on point, or even avoided the whole situation and took the plea deal, bruh, you wouldn't have been sitting there for 10 years. You wouldn't have been trying to throw shade at someone that was doing their job and following the course of the case. She wasn't investigating you on her own, bruh. She was in the courtroom reporting on what was being said there. So, when we come forward, we will have more on SZA's social media commentary, your thoughts, if you have any, and of course, more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on, I'm gonna be my own best friend. Me, myself, and I. That's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on, I'm gonna be my own best friend. Controlling, you say that you love me, but you don't. Your family told me one day I would see it on.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump will not head to trial next month in his Georgia election interference case. This comes after a judge granted motions from lawyers Kenneth Chesebro and Sidney Powell to sever their cases from Trump and the other co-defendants indicted in the investigation. A trial date for Trump has yet to be scheduled. Vice President Kamala Harris kicks off her Fight for Our Freedom College tour. After leaving Hampton University, the VP is on her way to North Carolina A&T on Friday. The VP will also stop by Morehouse College, University of Wisconsin-Madison, the College of Southern Nevada in Las Vegas, and Northern Arizona State University sometime later. Harris will focus on gun safety, climate action, and LGBTQ equality. In celebrity birthdays, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is 53, an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. She's the first black woman to sit on the nation's highest court. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the Accident Guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The Accident Guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580. Are you worried about your credit score? Well, look, you can rebuild it. There are lots of factors that go into determining your credit score, but one of the most effective ways to improve your score is to consistently pay your bills on time, over time. If you're forgetful about payments like me, try automating your bill payments. That way all your creditors get paid on time and you'll have freed yourself of trying to remember. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
cruising to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Time no hear from. It's the funky man, the brother with the same sound. I've been cooling a body and some change now. So hand over the microphone, cause it's my turn. The brother with the fade, half moon and long sideburns. Nice doping, keep the girl scoping. I say the funky stuff and get all the brothers open. So heed that. Don't try to yap and give me feedback. Lord Finesse is the man. Believe that, can it? I steal your show like a bandit. I get paid while you're broke like mass transit. You're not as smooth as this, so what can you do to this? Brothers need to stop and step with that foolishness.
You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show where we hit off all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I am, of course, your host, Jill Munroe. And Andy, I gotta ask, because I know who Lord Finesse is. He was in Brand Nubians and stuff like that. I feel like I know that song. I feel like I should know that song. But I was like waiting for the chorus so I could know what I was checking for. It sounds like 93 music.
He said it. Actually, he didn't. Name of the song is Return of the Funky Man by Lord Finesse.
Okay. Was Lord Finesse in Brand Nubian or was he in Lords of the Underground?
Googling as we speak.
Okay. You're not testing my hip-hop knowledge. Obviously, I didn't know this. That sounds like boom bap music, though. That is like, what year did that come out, Andy? Look, I'm asking you all the questions. Year? Who? Was he in a group? What did he do?
So this was 1990.
Okay, I was off by 3 years.
And he was the leader of the Digging in the Crates crew.
But then he went to something else, right?
Let's see here.
Shout out to Forensic Accountant, Funky Technician. Is that something that he was a part of? Because, see, this sounds like 90 boom bap music, like Black Moon and that type of stuff where guys would be standing by the speakers in the club, listening for the lyrics. You know, the beats were, like, hot, but not for partying.
No other groups.
No other groups? Nope. Interesting. Okay. Well, I was getting him confused with someone else. Is this what you would call, and we're going to talk about this topic later when we get into 50 Cent. So this is actually a nice little prime for that. Is that what you would call scare the women music? We're going to talk about what that is later. But
not at all.
No, you don't think so?
No.
Okay. Maybe.
I'll say this. The music that you hear today would be scare
the music,
scare the women, as opposed to back then. I think women would have a strong appreciation for that type of music.
For the boom bap?
100%.
Yeah, in 1990, what kind of hip hop was I into in 1990? America's Most Wanted, Ice Cube's debut album, right? So, see, and here we go. Let's talk about it because you got on me because you said I do not like any rap that features, messaging or is not.
That type of hip hop, though, back then, I think a lot of us representing the culture, we warmed up to that because it spoke to us in a different way as opposed to, some of the stuff now. You know what I mean? I think, low key, some of the commercialization of hip hop has programmed us to not be open to the type of hip hop that we started off with.
Okay, you know what? That's a good thought, and I can see how a lot of people could feel that way. Shout out to Aubrey Sinclair in the chat. What's going on? Forensic Accountant. He knows exactly who Lord Finesse is. He said, yeah, he hit in 1990. He's running it down. I feel you. This is my kind of thought about that, and I agree with your commercialization point. Listen, it's contagious. But I'm going to take it in a different direction. I don't think it's so much, well, at least for me, maybe not the programming. It is kind of like I said, some of the versions of it felt more authentic and organic back then. And now when it when it's done, it feels very much like I
Fabricated.
said, a school presentation. It doesn't feel like, this is in my heart that I wanted to talk about this. It feels like this is a good topic that's going to blow. I'm going to get some attention, and it's going to buy me some brownie points. It's going to look good.
You can make the case with a lot of the music today. It is fabricated. It doesn't come from an authentic place. You know what I'm saying? It's a hustle now. So it's like, all right, well, let's do this record because it's going to reach these type of people or whatnot. We also can't leave the conscious people alone. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's make this conscious record.
Exactly.
And we got to make a song for the clubs. I mean, it's only right. We got to have the people dancing. So it does seem a little bit more calculated as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, something coming from a place of authenticity.
And let me say this, because I did work in the music industry for a very long time. I'm not trying to imply that it wasn't strategic or that there weren't those type of conversations on what song would reach who and there. I mean, for example, I can tell you I worked on Aaliyah's last album, and obviously she was filming Rock the Boat when she passed, and she had just shot the video for More Than a Woman a few weeks before that. Internally at the label, our plan for that was Rock the Boat was going to urban radio, but More Than a Woman was going to pop radio. There was a sort of battle internally as to what the next single should be and what direction they should take her in. And at least at that time, if you were going to really take an artist into the pop lane, so to speak, they kind of reduced the things, the access, the type of stuff that they did on the urban side, whether that is because they felt that more of those resources should be shuffled over there, whether they felt that it's not as good of a look and they want to, kind of steer away from that because they're taking them in a new direction. There's all types of reasons, but my point in bringing that up is that there's always been strategy. They've always applied that, but it feels different now because, to Andy's point, it definitely feels like a hustle. It doesn't feel like a lot of these artists really care about the art form or really care about their music or stepping it up or their performance or other aspects of it. It's just like, oh, this is a part of the plan. I'm going to put out this music. I'm going to put out a product. Then I'm going to, sell a course. I don't know. And then start a podcast, like whatever. There's a kit. There's a fame kit that is definitely there. And, all of it plays a part of it.
Like we've been saying this over and over. Back then, you had a team, you had the artist development back then. Nowadays, you don't have it at all.
Nope. It is lacking. It is sorely lacking. Well, we were talking about SZA and her decision to step away from social media, and I'm not mad at it. I think about it. I definitely don't post on it as much as I used to. Hit me, Andy.
No, I was just going to say, it seems like every week now, we hear from some sort of artist, falling back from social media or whatnot. Sounds like it might be a trend going on. I don't know.
I mean, I believe that we are on our way back to more privacy in our lives just because we are so exposed as far as cameras everywhere, as we've talked about, someone's phone, their car, rings, security, all of that. And so I think people are a little weary of always having to be on. At first, it was very exciting. Look, I can have my own reality show right here on the internet. I can show you everything, but it's draining. And I think that it's healthy for people to take some steps back from social media on occasion.
I think it's certain platforms that are more toxic than others. And I could be wrong. Twitter, for sure, 100% toxic. Yeah. But I love it because that's where I got my news from.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Instagram, I don't get the toxicity so much unless you happen to go on
the comments,
the Shade Room and the Jasmine brand. If you go on those type of pages, you're gonna get a lot of toxicity. But if you're just following your friends and family, so I think it's the certain things that you follow. It's the certain pages. It's those certain blog sites. Not to diss them.
I understand.
But there's a lot of drama on those platforms.
When we come forward, I will give my rebuttal that there is something else that can trip people up with social media in addition to the blogs and things like that can make you a little weary. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. I know you've been hearing the promo over and over again about our event this Saturday, about contracts and how you can get in the contract pipeline. Just want to remind you, it is this Saturday. Space is limited. Here's Dion Rambo to tell you more about what you can expect this Saturday.
Yo, what's up? This is Rambo, and again, you know the three words, contracts. This Saturday, there's one place you have to go right now, KBLA1580.com. If you want to see us talk about contracts, talk about grants, you got Caltrans who made all this possible. I'm super excited. You guys all know Rambo's been in the community fighting for you. Now, we got Tavis fighting alongside. This is huge. KBLA1580.com this Saturday. See you guys.
If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability that is directly impacting your ability to work, resources are available to help you find employment. VA's Veteran Readiness and Employment, or VR&E, can assist you with finding a job that uses your existing skills. Or, if you're interested in exploring a new field, a VR&E counselor can help you determine the right education or training options for a new career. Find out if VR&E is right for you by visiting va.gov/VRE today.
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center proudly presents its 25th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase, September 22nd through the 24th. Join us for the opening night celebration on Friday, September 22nd, featuring iconic film director Michael Schultz of Cooley High and Car Wash fame, along with rising director Jewel Taylor from They Clone Tyrone, plus actor-director Maurice J. Irvin. Then on Saturday, September 23rd and Sunday, September 24th, enjoy the short film showcase featuring 47 films by emerging black male directors from across the globe. Celebrate a legacy of brotherhood and excellence. All events will be held at the Regal LA Live Cinemas in downtown Los Angeles. For more information and tickets, visit www.bherc.org or call 323-957-4656. That's 323-957-4656. Support black cinema at the 25th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase. See you there.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Watering Your Lawn During the Hottest Time of the Day and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, before we were on the other side, we were discussing social media a little bit and what we feel contributes to that social media burnout, fatigue, where you want to leave it alone, and certainly consuming a lot of information from blogs and news sites can be draining. But I also think that you are underestimating the envy factor, that looking at other people's highlights all the time sometimes, and maybe if you aren't in your all the way right space or you're not in the space where you feel you should be, and seeing highlights from others, even friends or family, can start to nod some people and, make them act out or make them feel a certain type of way about themselves, that they're not moving ahead or achieving things. So I don't know. It's a whole lot with social media, but I do think it is important to take breaks and, relax a little bit from it because it can be overwhelming. Listen, we were going to talk about SZA. We still are. She said that the only time you'll see her on social media now is going to be when it has to do with music. Well, she does have a collaboration coming, and it is a collaboration with her ex, and it is going to be featured on her ex's album. Now, we've been waiting for this album for a minute, so who knows if this will actually end up on it, because that is one thing about a digital release. You can change up the album listing, you can change up the songs included, pretty much all the way, relatively speaking, up until release. So who would you think SZA might be doing a duet with? I'm going to tell you, of course. It's Drake. So Drake and she supposedly have a collaboration out coming for his new album. And it is going to be on his 8th studio album. We talked about it, For All the Dogs. The cover art for the single is a picture of Halle Berry covered in slime at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards in 2012. Not sure what the name of the single is going to be yet, but we know he's name dropped SZA in a song. What song is it? I used to date SZA back in. She said she wanted to listen to SZA. I said, wait. I used to date SZA back in 2008. I can't remember what song it is, but that's a line. He name dropped it, and SZA later confirmed that they dated in about 2009. And so, this will be the first time that we will see them. Well, I guess see them and knowingly know that they were coupled up at one time. Wonder if they're going to do a video. That could be cute. Anyway, on to more social media stuff, because that seems to be the theme of the evening. Well, at least this first hour. Hour 2, we're changing it up. Hour 2, we're going to get into that 50 Cent in the club conversation. And I want all of you in the chat to participate or hit those phone lines, because I need opinions on this, because it really floored me. But we'll get there. So last night we mentioned some feedback from the VMAs, the conversations, the performances, the fashion, the questionable fashion, the questionable behavior and activities of some. Well, we talked about Sukihana and her crawling, I guess, on the carpet at the award show. It was a choice. It definitely was a choice. And Delicious of Flavor of Love was basically saying to her, hey, shoes there, get up. And Suki hit her back with, you had sex with Flavor of Love, with Flavor Flav on TV. You can't talk to me about anything. That was a low one, but a factual one. Well, Delicious decided to take the high road and actually apologized to Suki and provided a bit more explanation about what she meant with her comment. She said, that was the original thing. Too many outdoor shoes on the carpet, Buttercup. So Delicious' response was, not today, Satan. First off, let me start off by saying to Suki, I apologize if my comment upset or offended you. I should have said, you're too fine for that floor, which is a much more precise way of describing what I thought when I saw the post, or even better, not comment at all. She added, unfortunately, I never thought my comment would be viewed as an insult. My people told me not to respond, but the new agenda is to put women at odds and have us hating each other for no good reason. I refuse to conform to that agenda. I believe if you offended someone publicly, you should be man or woman enough to apologize and correct your mistake publicly. My comment obviously felt like a judgment, and that wasn't cool. I'm a fan and an advocate for women. No harm was intended, Queen, and I wish you a blessed Woman Crush Wednesday. Buttercup. Buttercup must be, her thing. I call people Buttercup too. Maybe it's a Gen X thing. I don't know. Anyway, what did you think about? I thought it was very nice that, one, I thought it was obvious. Delicious' initial message was, girl, you too cute. Even if you don't think that she's too cute for that, and I'm not talking about physically, I'm just talking about the way that she acts and presents herself. I'm not talking about her aesthetic. I'm just saying the imagery that she puts out there. Get up off the floor, girl. Come on, man. You want to say all your stuff. It may not be for me, but rock out. But you're at a formal event in a dress.
Formal?
Well, okay.
Exactly.
All right. You are at an awards ceremony where people are, spending hours to get dressed up. Their choices may not reflect that, but ideally, that is what they're doing. I just think that, I don't know, it wasn't a video shoot. It just wasn't becoming of her. Urban Spinster says Delicious has people. I'm sure she has a manager or a publicist, maybe a social media manager. She probably got people.
And it's Suki. Why are we acting like this is something new. Like, oh my gosh, like it's Suki.
That's what she does.
That's what she does.
But I do respect that Delicious wanted to make sure that she understood, hey, I wasn't coming for you. I'm Team
Suki, though.
Are you really?
Yeah.
What? Okay, explain.
I don't know.
You like her rawness?
No. I respect her rawness.
Okay.
Right? It's obviously not for me either. It could be, but, I like her rawness.
I like it in moments, maybe. Not me personally, but I'll be a cheerleader for it.
I just think that, there's certain artists, certain individuals that have a certain brand, right? So none of this should be, like, shocking. I mean, Lil' Kim, VMAs. People act like VMAs ain't been the space for some craziness.
They have been. But do you think, Lil' Kim with the boob out, right? Lil' Kim was doing high fashion moments at these things. She was one of the first female rappers to be dressed by like Versace and these high-end fashion houses that prior to that wouldn't really be involved in this. And I'm not saying that, one is upper crust, but I'm just saying that in presentation, right, looks a little different. And as much as we sometimes maybe want to act as if presentation doesn't matter as much as it does, it does. And realistically speaking, right, I get it, it's the awards. Like, girl, you could show your ratchet ways without crawling on the ground, risking messing up your knees and your good party dress. I don't know. I just think that, Jerry Anderson in the YouTube chat says it's a competition to be the most ratchet. And that it is. That's the vibe right now, low-key, for some. And here's the thing. I think that if that is where they're at, they are certainly allowed to grow through that if they choose to and move on to something else. I have no problem with that. Everyone goes through phases and things like that. But I do just feel like sometimes it's like, girl, come on.
But why can't, it's crazy because I feel like
she could do what she wants. I'm not saying she can't. She can do whatever she wants. I am in no way saying that. I'm not saying, oh, I'll never like a Suki song because she, it's just the bar is a little low for me with that, and it is on you. That is your choice. I'm not judging you in that. I'm saying it is not for me, and I think that you could do a little bit better. That's all.
What does better look like for her?
Not crawling on the floor at an award ceremony at the red carpet, for one.
But we know how ratchet she is. Have you seen any of her music videos?
I have. I saw her in London, what she was doing. I've seen her on Love and Hip Hop. Do you know what I mean? I've seen some of her old videos. But to the same point that you made earlier about the commercialization of hip hop, right? I think ratchet is a commodity that has been packaged and commercialized at this point as well. And sometimes I question, again, this isn't a condemnation of ratchet behavior or anything like that. I like a little ratchet on occasion. This is just saying sometimes it feels like a lot of this is put together because you want to try and tap into the viral and blah, 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 blah. When we come forward in hour 2, we will have more on this topic. We are also going to get into, was 50 Cent in the club scare the women music? I don't know, but a social media user, a DJ, seems to believe that it was. We're going to get into all of that and more. Of course, more trending topics and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
So when asked who the funk is, you better mention me. I go all out while a lot of crews be frontin'. I know and they know that they can't do me nothing, cause I'm smooth and while the skills I utilize, lyrics so advanced you think my brain was computerized. Brothers be frontin', thinking they delaying something, yapping at the mouth, but yo, they ain't saying nothing. I ain't terror so clever that rap is better. Play the background and get
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump will not head to trial next month in his Georgia election interference case.